Good evening, everybody. I am Decency. I'm your host for today. And we're meeting here after a long wait of, from pandemic, and we wanted to do this for such a long time. Finally, the moment is here. And I'm sure pandemic has been a very, very tough time for all of us, each one of us, honestly. And anxiety has been a constant companion in the pandemic. So from losses of job, from losses of finances, from losses of relationships and whatnot. And most of all, the loss of connect from people has affected everybody. And hence, let's not forget children who have, faced the biggest loss of stimulation. The biggest losses anybody ever faced was the children. So today we are talking about anxiety in children in the COVID era. Let's move on towards understanding a little more about anxiety in children. And I invite Disha to come here on the podium and present us some basic facts, basic understanding on anxiety in children. Let's give a round of applause for her.
Hello all. I hope you're having an insightful and amazing evening. So we are going to start with a presentation. So we are talking about anxiety, right? So let's have a basic understanding first, like what is anxiety? Basic understanding of anxiety is that it's a human response. It's our body's natural response to stress or danger, right? So it's a feeling of fear or apprehension about what's to come next. आगे क्या होने वाला है? क्या मुझे पता है आगे क्या होने वाला है? मुझे जानना है मुझे आगे क्या होने वाला है? Often we describe it as butterfly in stomach. For a little while I was also having that. The face feeling warm, the hands feeling cold. This is basically how we describe when we are telling somebody about, I'm having anxiety. So let's look at anxiety through categories. So physically, there is increase in heart rate, rapid breathing, feeling of nausea or dry mouth, dizziness, sweating, discomfort in chest. Emotionally and cognitively, the symptoms represent trouble concentrating, dhyan nahi lag pa raha, difficulty falling asleep, feeling of overwhelmed, worrying, feeling helpless, anticipating the worst outcome, and mood swings. Socially and behaviorally, what happens in anxiety? We feel that we are restless, agitated, we pace up and down, we go here and there, we are getting up when we are sitting. Avoidance behavior. I want to take stairs instead of elevator because I feel claustrophobic. Inability to meet responsibility at work, home, or school. So there are some type of anxiety which have unique symptoms specific to the fear linked to it. Let's look at some of the types. Panic. Episodes of intense fear that triggers physical reaction, often known as panic attack. Phobia. Excessive fear of specific object, situation, or activity. We heard spiders, elevators. These are the basic phobias that we commonly hear. Social anxiety, extreme fear of being judged by others in social situation. And separation anxiety, commonly seen in children, fear of being away from home or loved ones. Illness-related anxiety about health, formerly known as hypochondria, that मेरे को कुछ ना हो जाए, मेरी family को कुछ ना हो जाए. Another kind of anxiety is obsessive compulsive, commonly known as OCD, is characterized by unwanted and intrusive thought, which is called obsessions, feeling compelled to repeatedly perform rituals and routines, which are known as compulsion, to ease anxiety. But this is not just an adult phenomenon. During childhood, the sound of mental health is as important as physical health for achieving developmental milestone. It helps children with their emotional well-being and social skills. Anxiety can be often harder to detect as children are still maturing emotionally, cognitively, and thus anxiety manifests differently in children. So some children express verbally, नहीं मम्मी मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, नहीं पापा मेरे को पेट में कुछ हो रहा है. Some internalize, they withdraw, or they stay quiet. Some externalize, like throwing tantrums, or if you would hold their hand, they want to नहीं मुझे छोड़ दो, मुझे नहीं जाना school. So these are externalizing behaviors. It is important to, and it's very important and crucial to be aware of these silent symptoms. So let's briefly look at how anxiety is different in childhood. So there are complaints of stomachache and headache. Oftenly we hear in कि school नहीं जाना because नहीं मम्मी मेरे को headache हो रहा है, नहीं मुझे fever हो रहा है. Change in appetite, such as overeating or eating at odd hours, or loss of appetite. Disturbance in sleep, such as complaint of nightmares, bedwetting, being awake in the middle of the night, fidgeting and pacing up and down. Emotionally and cognitively, there's difficulty in concentrating, paying attention, feeling irritated, feeling of uneasiness or overwhelmed when they are put in the situations which they don't like or don't want to be. Feeling of helpless. So, for example, let's take an example: a child who's performing very poorly in maths exam after constant effort. So ultimately, he thinks that कितना भी मेहनत कर लूँ, मेरा result अच्छा ही नहीं आ रहा. So that arises a feeling of helpless, and that is also commonly connected with low self-esteem and low confidence. That often come in कि मैं तो कर ही नहीं सकता, मैं मेहनत ही नहीं करूँगा इस पे. Continuously preoccupied with worrying thoughts, such as कल मेरे पेपर में क्या होगा, कैसे करूँगी, I might fail, or get scolded by dad or teacher or friends क्या कहेंगे. Behaviorally and socially, so we see they cry more than often. Parents come and say कि ये बहुत रोने लग गया है. Quickly getting angry and being out of control during outbursts. Getting in trouble at school, like fighting, struggling with or refusing to go to school, are commonly seen. Getting nervous habits such as nail biting, lip biting, fidgeting, pacing up and down and getting up from one place many a times. But it is important to note that these symptoms can vary child to child. हर बच्चे में ज़रूरी नहीं है कि same symptoms दिखे, या हर behaviorally दिखे, या physically दिखे, या emotionally दिखे. It can depend child to child and how the environmental is playing the role. So considering the time we are in, like ma'am said, we are in the era of COVID. We are living through it. So when the world is still adjusting, we are also still adjusting in pandemic. So the fear of getting infected by the virus, the young ones have greater impact on their social and emotional well-being. Researchers have also suggested that home confinement of children is associated with uncertainty and anxiety, which is attributable to disruption in their education, physical activities, and opportunity to socialize, which is very important. Now let's see this lockdowns, this home confinement, this COVID, how it has brought changes in child's life. So, basic and foremost, unlearning purana routine and learning the new routine has been the major concern. Struggling with practicing precautions such as washing hands, sanitizing, wearing masks. So parents have to continuously remind them कि mask पहनो, sanitize करो, ये मत छुओ. Changes in amount of time they spend with parents. So earlier it used to be the working parents, they used to stay out and come back home at 6 o'clock. And they knew that, okay, mummy papa 6 baje aayenge or behan bhai 6 baje aayenge. Now because of the home confinement, they're staying with the parents. So it's also a matter of adjustment for children. कि okay, now मम्मी पापा घर पे ही हैं, वो grandparents घर पे ही हैं. Switching from offline classes to online classes has been a real struggle for children. Understanding its nuances, technology, कैसे use करना है, क्या बात करना है. Also keeping up with the pace and adjusting with the new teaching and learning methods. Attending to teachers as well as instruction all at once. So for example, if they are in online classes, teacher भी बोल रही है, and because the parents needs to be there to make them understand कि okay ऐसे जवाब दो. So there are too many instruction that is happening at one time, and the child feels कि okay I have to respond to every instruction, thus gets anxious. Difficulty establishing rapport with teachers, such as asking questions, meeting them personally. Offline classes, it used to be that okay they can talk or teacher can point it out. But due to the online classes, they cannot connect with teachers like they used to. They couldn't connect with friends like they used to. Challenging to keep constant touch with their friends online. पहले तो तुम you could have played and everything, but with online it becomes really difficult. Difficulty socializing with friends, classmates, even after the school is reopened. Inability to meet loved ones such as grandparents, cousins, friends. Restriction in movement and play, especially outdoors. Increase in screen time has been a major complaint from parents. Boredom and lack of innovative ideas for engaging in various academic and extracurricular activities. It is not unusual for children to experience these negative emotions such as fear, sadness, uh, loss, but it is the prolonged, restrictive, and widespread nature of COVID-19 pandemic that has magnified the situation. For everyone, uncertainty, result of having limited knowledge about an occurrence or event, make it difficult to control, plan, or predict a future outcome, which can often be distressing, has been an challenging experience. It is not necessary that all children experience anxiety. Some cope better. They have healthy adjustment due to the environmental support, but who are facing difficulty in coping, thus may lead to anxiety or apprehension. Now let's understand. Now we looked at the changes, right? So now let's look how these changes has contributed in the inculcating anxiety in children. So, for example, physically listening to parents talk about COVID, the news alerts, they're always, if they're in their room, bahar living room, there is a constant news happening, the constant voices that is happening, it leads to sleep disturbance in children. They might feel fear sleeping alone. मुझे अकेले नहीं सोना, मुझे आपके पास ही सोना है, मुझे अंधेरे में नहीं सोना है. Having nightmares and episodes of bedwetting. Due to fear of virus and the fear of getting infected or family member getting infected, there has been an increase and decrease in appetite in children. For example, they overeat because they find comfort in food. Okay, I have nothing to do, chalo मैं खा लेता हूँ. So that is becoming a pattern. Or they are feeling tense, so they are not eating. Uneasiness in stomach, having nausea. Weight loss and weight gain due to the lack of physical activity, but also due to the appetite change. So cognitively and emotionally, there has been reports of course, moodiness, feeling irritable, agitated. So what the child does is that they seek reassurance. They ask questions. स्कूल कब खुलेंगे, व्हेन कैन आई गो आउट एंड प्ले, मैं अपने दोस्तों से कैसे मिल सकता हूँ, हम बर्गर किंग कब जाएंगे, और मैं अपने ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स से कब मिलूंगा. सो देर आर द कॉन्स्टेंट क्वेश्चंस दैट इज बीइंग इन द चाइल्ड्स हेड. Constant fear of losing loved one. Feeling of helpless because for example learning that relative has fallen ill. मैं ना मिलने जा सकता हूँ. No, I don't have any updates. Mom and dad doesn't tell me. So there is one क्या हो रहा होगा, क्या हो रहा होगा, क्या वो अभी जिंदा है, क्या वो क्या होगा. There's a lot of questions in their head. Obsessive, the recurring thoughts of getting infective, कि मुझे ना हो जाए, कहीं मुझे वायरस तो नहीं हो जाएगा, मैं तो इन्फेक्ट नहीं हो जाऊंगा, और मेरे क्या ये लॉकडाउन हमेशा के लिए होगा. These are the very important questions that arises in children's mind. Behaviorally and social impact. So, like we discussed, change in school structure and difficulty coping with it lead to behavioral problems, such as refusal to attend online classes, getting up in between activities or classes, fidgeting while sitting, nervous behaviors. Because of the gap in regular communication and meeting, children may feel anxious rebuilding the relationships. So, for example, they'll think कि मैं तो इतने टाइम से मैं मिला नहीं, how should I respond, how should I talk, what should I talk. So they avoid these situations. Crying more than usual, having argument with parents, mostly because they are not able to answer their questions. Compulsive behavior, such as because of the constant alert of taking precaution. So they are more like कि अच्छा मुझे हाथ धोना चाहिए तभी मेरे को वायरस नहीं लगेगा, तो मुझे सैनिटाइज करना चाहिए, मैं घर पे भी मास्क पहन के रहूँगा. Now, how to help children cope with this impact of COVID and related anxiety? We'll be focusing on these aspects towards in terms of parents because they're the immediate and the constant primary caregivers. So first, it is essential in such situation to identify and notice such symptoms in children. Parents are encouraged to be aware how these changes are impacting children's daily routine. Through early detection, of children's mental health challenges, parents can help children to address current issues with professional assistance and prevent more serious problems from developing in future. Secondly, and I feel it's very, very important that we encourage that, and if because we have students and different multidisciplinary professionals here, so if we come across with such situation when a parent is talking to us, we should encourage them to talk to their child more often. But creating a venue for a children to express the feelings, sometimes they feel scared or ashamed कि मैं अगर mom dad को बताऊंगा they'll feel worried about me. I don't want to make them worry. They're already so worried. So here, what parents are encouraged to do is that they share their own feelings, how they are feeling. For example, here in the pictures, the mother is saying that sometimes I also feel scared. And now the child feels, okay, now mom is also feeling. So my thoughts, my emotion mean something. They are not some alien emotions. Being compassionate. So, with children, being compassionate is very important. Being compassionate is very important. It plays a role in bonding with them and also addressing the challenges. So often, what happens is that parents feel that, okay, I don't want to stress my child. Let's avoid talking to him. Let's not get him involved in this. So they say that, okay, कोई बात नहीं, तुम्हारा इसमें कोई काम नहीं है. Don't take tension. Well, they are well intentioned, they have good intention, they want to protect their child, but sometimes it's a very dismissive to their child's concern. They don't feel that, okay, they are being given importance. So here the parents are encouraged to say that, okay, they reflect the feeling. Okay, how are you feeling? You're feeling worried that we are talking about this. So we are also making them feel safe. It's okay that you're coming with these questions to us. Answering their questions, like we talked about. Children trust their caregivers as a reliable source of information. Where appropriate, update children, but as per their level of understanding. As the situation evolves, so that they can better grasp the need of the constant change around them, and having an accurate understanding of situation can be empowering. Such as we can just also say them that, okay, this is why we are staying at home is because of the precautionary thing, that other people are also taking care of us, and this is just a temporary situation and we'll get out of it. So it's reassuring to the child, and also they feel okay, they'll able to better regulate their anxiety. The babies, even for babies and toddlers, they are very sensitive and very responsive to the caregiver emotion. So when the mother or father, they are talking anxiously or worriedly, the babies or the toddlers, the children are very receptive. They understand from the environment very much because they're learning from their environment. This strategy is very important, which is called modeling behavior. Such as children are very receptive, like we talked about. They take from environmental cues. They learn from environment and very much from their parents and grandparents even. So when elder in the house practice precaution, they are taking proper precautions and following healthy routine. They are sleeping on time. They're having lunch, dinner at time. They're indulging in activities. They're making time for family time. Children are also motivated to do so. क्योंकि parents कर रहे हैं, I think मुझे भी करना चाहिए to be more involved. Making structured routine. During a time of crisis, when so many things are unknown, creating a routine helps children in several ways. Creating a routine for child during can provide structure and predictability. It's a very important thing when we are tapping on uncertainty. Opposite is the predictability. How we can ensure predictability during the times of uncertainty, and it also helps to balance the situation and provide normalcy. Another thing that can be done at home is breathing exercise. So whenever we in a crisis situation or child is feeling anxious, so when we are able to identify, okay, he's pacing up and down, or he's crying more than usual, or he's fidgeting a lot, we can take a moment, come into eye to eye with the child, because it's easier to talk to a child when we are connecting eye to eye, so that they can connect better, and ask them to do this breathing exercise, inhaling and exhaling, which for us also it's very important when we are in the state of anxiety or nervousness or feeling agitated. So this is always recommended. I feel this is a very free thing that we can do when we have this thing. Occupational and emotional challenges. Now, of course, it is as challenging for children, but it's also challenging for parents because they are also struggling with themselves, the home, and taking care of children and grandparents. The occupational and emotional challenges parents faced is also challenging in their usual ability to address their children's need and worries. Here, parents are encouraged to practice self-care as a part of their daily routine. Having your own personal time in the day, practicing mindfulness meditation, socializing online and offline, engaging in family time can be really recommended. And in order to create balance between their emotional need and also child's emotional need. But here also, the parents are encouraged to share the same with the child so that they don't feel neglected. Ki, Acha, mom is taking me time or dad is taking me time or they're working. So they get to know, okay, this is my time. So you study while I'll work and we'll meet with a mutual consent. We'll meet later and we'll play this game. So that he or she can have a constant key. Okay, this is my time, this is my parents' time, and we'll meet after that. Lastly, when to seek help. Parents play a crucial role in identifying concerns during key developmental window in child's life, and that could make all the difference in helping them achieve their full potential. Of course, all parents worry about their child's progress from time to time, and that's especially true for the first-time parents. But sometimes it can be hard to tell when a behavior, while perhaps stressful or challenging, is developmentally appropriate or cause a greater concern. If change in behavior are persistent and interfering the day-to-day activities of the child, such as school performance, play, interpersonal relationship, sleep, or appetite, connecting with a mental health professional is recommended. There are several scientifically proven and effective treatment options available for children with anxiety-related concerns. With the right aid, the child can overcome his or her problem at an early stage and live a quality of life. Thank you. Now we are opening the forum for the questions.
Thank you, Disha. I hope that was enlightening. So for your questions, we have our very esteemed and knowledgeable guest, Dr. Dipali Rao, consultant clinical psychologist and psychotherapist at VIMHANS. She has been practicing and working with children and adolescents and adults since last 10 years. You're in good hands. And we have Dr. Khushbu, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology in Manav Rachna, the International Institute of Research and Sciences. Dr. Swati, Assistant Professor of Department of Psychology, Manav Rachna Institute again. Professor Anandajit Goswami, Director of Faculty of Behavioral and Social Sciences. I'm over to you actually to ask me any questions and I will revert them to your esteemed, knowledgeable people.
In your presentation, you mentioned about mindfulness.
Yes.
What is this mindfulness and how children can do it?
Mindfulness is a relaxation based activity. The main component of mindfulness is stepping back from your experience, which could be your thoughts, feelings, or maybe even bodily sensations, whatever you are experiencing, stepping back from it and looking at it as an observer. And especially this is recommended when we feel like we cannot immediately change what we are feeling or the situation. It's not in our control immediately to completely change it or go away from there. So some situations are somewhat more in our control. Immediately हम उसको बदल सकते हैं या we can change the environment. But some we can't, we have to wait it out. Like COVID is one of those situations where things will change, but we have to practice certain precautions, follow certain protocol and wait for the situation to evolve so that things normalize. So in that sense, instead of panicking or trying to it's normal to feel anxious or uncertain and uncomfortable. So but we don't have to sit suffering and dwelling in that. Mindfulness gives us a way to step back like an observer, see it something like a movie going by, in which case when we are detached, we don't feel so distressed. It feels like, okay, this is something that is happening and it is also changing, but it's not going to hurt me or harm me. The second component of mindfulness is that we don't evaluate whatever we are seeing. It's not good, bad, right, wrong, should happen, should not happen. It is happening, so there is an acceptance component to it. That yes, it's happening, but it is not permanent. It is also evolving. So if I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, I can do certain things to engage myself rather than, but I'm also aware that this is happening in the background. I don't have to try and escape from it, nor try to change it. And I know that if I am mindful of it, I'm aware of it without trying to interfere with that, it's going to change and be okay.
But it should be done at time when you are very anxious or it's as a routine, जैसे exercise करते हैं सुबह, उस तरह से टाइम लगाए सुबह उठ के mindfulness करो, या जब प्रॉब्लम स्टार्ट हो कुछ इस तरह से एंजाइटी आनी है तो उसमें mindfulness करें, या दूसरा चीज़ है कि इसका ये कर रहा है तो इसका अपने कुछ ऐसा होता है कि मतलब हमेशा कुछ कर रहा करते उसका इंटरनल इफेक्ट नहीं पड़ता है, कि उसका मतलब बेटर उसका ऐसा बन जाएगा कि उसका फायदा किस तरह से, जब एक हुआ कि मैं एंग्शियस हुआ उसमें माइंडफुलनेस कर रहा हूँ उसमें कुछ देर ये ठीक हो जाता है। इसका कुछ ऐसा है कि मैं लगातार कर रहा हूँ तो एक मेरा माइंड उस तरह से बन जाएगा कि सिचुएशन आएगा तो अगर उस समय वो इसके लिए मतलब खुद से प्रिपेयर हो जाएगा।
पहले क्वेश्चन का आंसर है कि माइंडफुलनेस क्राइसिस सिचुएशन में नहीं करना है, इट्स मोर लाइक अ रेजिलियंस बिल्डिंग एक्टिविटी। मतलब जब एंजाइटी है तब माइंडफुलनेस करना मुश्किल है ऑब्वियसली, बिकॉज आप उस सिचुएशन में हो, ऑलरेडी अनकंफर्टेबल फील कर रहे हो, तो उस टाइम में समथिंग लाइक अ ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइज और थोड़ा बहुत फिजिकल एंगेजमेंट, ताकि आपका अटेंशन जो है, जैसे कहते हैं ना कि हम दिमाग से निकल के वी गेट इनटू द बॉडी एंड लेस थिंकिंग एंड मोर डूइंग एंड एंगेजमेंट फॉर सूदिंग आवरसेल्व्स। सो ब्रीदिंग उसमें हेल्प करता है, डीप ब्रीदिंग के डिफरेंट टाइप्स होते हैं, और या तो कोई सेंसरी सूदिंग एक्टिविटी, जैसे आप वॉक के लिए चले जाइए, या आप वी हैव सर्टेन फिजिकल ग्राउंडिंग एक्सरसाइजेज होते हैं, जैसे आर्म प्रेस, हील प्रेस, स्ट्रेचिंग होता है, या जैसे किसी ट्रस्टेड पर्सन का हाथ पकड़ के हम साथ में ब्रीथ करें, जैसे प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया गया था, राइट। सो देन दैट हेल्प्स टू कम। सो एंजाइटी वाले सिचुएशन में वो ज़्यादा हेल्प करता है, बॉडी बेस्ड स्ट्रैटेजीज। माइंडफुलनेस इज समथिंग टू बी डन ऑन अ डेली बेसिस, ताकि हम अपने माइंड को उस तरह से ट्रेन कर सकें, प्रिपेयर कर सकें कि जब वो सिचुएशन आएगा तब हम इंस्टेंटली पॉइंट लाइक 0 से 100 पे एकदम से नहीं पहुंच जाए। इट गिव्स अस सम टाइम टू थिंक, आवर ब्रेन इज स्टिल ऑनलाइन, है ना, और सिर्फ पैनिक की और फिजिकल डिस्कम्फर्ट नहीं होता है। और दूसरा, हम वी आर स्टिल अवेयर दैट दिस इज नॉट अ सिचुएशन विच इज गोइंग टू हर्ट मी, आई जस्ट हैव टू डू सर्टन, आई हैव टू कोप विद इट यूजिंग सर्टन स्ट्रैटेजी। तो एक तरह से रेजिलियंस बढ़ाने के लिए है, हमें ट्रेन करता है टू बेटर कोप इन द सिचुएशन व्हेन दैट सिचुएशन अराइजेस। हमारी एंजाइटी इतनी जल्दी नहीं बढ़ती है, और दैट गिव्स अस टाइम टू implement certain more effective coping strategies. So हाँ, it's not that you have to do it when you are anxious, that won't help. आप उसको रोज कीजिए, just like you do yoga every day or any other physical exercise or mental exercise. मेरा मतलब है जब फिजियोलॉजिकल एंजाइटी, मतलब पैनिक और फिजिकल डिस्कम्फर्ट हो रहा है, तब माइंडफुलनेस और एक सर्टन लेवल से ज़्यादा हो रहा है कि ब्रीदिंग में डिफिकल्टी हो रही है या बहुत ज़्यादा थॉट्स चल रहे हैं, तो आपको माइंडफुलनेस करने में दिक्कत आएगी, क्योंकि आप बहुत ज़्यादा कोशिश कर रहे होगे फोकस करने के लिए, एंड इट विल बी काउंटर प्रोडक्टिव। सो देयर विल बी अ लिटिल let's say on a scale of 0 to 10, अगर आप कहते हैं कि 10 unbearable level of discomfort है, physical and mental, तो you can do mindfulness on a daily basis where maybe there is discomfort or worry, but it's somewhere at the level of 5, 6, 4, 5, right? That is tolerable. आप उसको पीछे स्टेप करके देख सकते हो, बट इतना नहीं होगा कि वो अनबेरेबल है और आप नोटिस ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो कुछ भी. Your mind is drifting here and there and here and there, and that is adding to more distress. So एक certain level of discomfort है, वो हमारी capacity होती है notice करने की. Like if I prick myself with a pin here, even if I prick a little hard, it is not something that I can notice it कि दर्द होता है. And थोड़ा देर दर्द चलता भी रहेगा तो भी I can notice that okay I pricked and so it is hurting. Maybe blood भी निकलता है तो there are certain injuries you can be mindful of and then do what you have to do, but you are aware कि इसको time देना है, ये अपने आप ठीक हो जाएगा once I put some medicine on it. But certain level of injuries you have to take more specific extreme measures to manage it. Okay? तो breathing उस sense में आता है कि जब आप बिल्कुल ही बहुत ज़्यादा intensity का हो रहा है, तब आप step back करना मुश्किल होता है. So somewhere in the middle, if it is there, you can manage it, you can tolerate it, you can observe it.
I just wanted to ask you, now that the children are back to school, so what are the major changes that are being observed?
They are facing a lot of anxiety now because suddenly there is a change in routine. So change in the routine in the sense that at home, if the classes are starting at 9 maybe, they could have gotten up at 8 and then just sit for the class, and they did not have to go through the bus ride and all of that. So now they are going to school and suddenly sitting at home, from sitting at home in school they are attending classes till 1 till 2. So that is a major change happening with the kids and they are not able to deal with it. And then there is another worry that in school how should I take precaution, like मेरे को कोविड ना हो जाए, मेरे को हाथ धोने हैं, मैं किससे बात करूँ किससे ना बात करूँ, हाउ डू आई नो कि उस बंदे को कोविड नहीं है या उस स्टूडेंट को कफ कोल्ड है तो कोविड तो नहीं है. बिकॉज घर से पेरेंट्स भी इंस्ट्रक्शंस दे के भेजते हैं कि बी माइंडफुल, पूरा प्रिकॉशन रखना, हाथ धोना, हर किसी से बात मत करना, मास्क लगा के रखना. So too many instructions for kids also. Then there is excitement that I will meet my friends after so many months, but then the instructions are there in the back of their head ki be cautious. And then they are meeting with the teachers also. So of course there is certain change in the routine, and then there is bus ride, meeting with so many people after so many months. So yes, the kids are facing a lot of challenge, and then there is heat also. So they are dealing with too many things at the same time.
And just, we're talking about anxiety, but I just want to know if there are some good things that are also coming out.
Oh yeah.
The positive impact, can you just
Going back to the school.
Going back to the school and what has been the impact suddenly from getting more time with their parents?
Yeah, of course they are being with their parents, so that relationship, that bonding with parents must have deepened more. And if there are grandparents also at home, so that interaction with grandparents has also increased. So there is a different understanding of family, but that depends on how the parents were also handling the kids at home, or how the grandparents were handling the kids at home. Yeah, so that was there, and then when during COVID, all of us know that all of us became cook and all of us started cleaning our house because, So the kids were also involved in household chores also. So that also add to being more present in the house, doing activity with the parents. And जब limited scope होता है तो mind में बहुत सारा imaginative ideas भी आते हैं how to engage the kids. So yes, certainly something positive has come out of it, but then again that depends on how the parents or the family has handled the situation.
So does it make them more resilient?
Again, I would say that depends on how the situation was handled. I would not say generalize, I cannot say it has made them more resilient, but certainly they had to cope with a very massive situation, and being a child, that's tough on them also. So again, I would say that it depends on parents to parents, and certainly if the parent or the family has adopted healthy coping strategies, of course that would add to their resilience.
depends on that.
Caregivers plays a huge role in how the kids will deal with the situations or their experiences.
Even the parents experience.
Yes. Even the parents also have to manage their anxiety when they are talking to kids. That's what Disha was also mentioning in the PPT.
Hello, good evening. My question is for the adult anxiety actually. So, is it going to be covered here?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So, this pandemic has had a very bad effect. Of course, his mother was also very anxiety prone in the later age, you know. But now, after the pandemic, it's been a major setback for him. He doesn't want to leave the house. There was a time last year after the second wave, he didn't want to step out of his room also. So everybody is trying to get back to normal. They are not able to see that actually. Seeing the same news again and again, the news channels have been repeating 50 times a day, and I tried my best to divert, like you spoke of activities, do this, do that, some indoor games, maybe see a light, whatever, serial or a light movie. No, I don't want to see. So he didn't even want to try. And now again, like we've had so many opportunities or invitations, he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's so, last year he was having these panic attacks. And then he got news of his colleagues, his classmates, batchmates, he's gone, whatever, the wife is gone, whatever. Somebody's in Bombay, somebody's in Chennai. I said, even if there was no pandemic, how many times would you have met him? He wouldn't have. I'm talking of the senior citizens. So try to reason with him, but it helped for a few minutes and then he's back to the same groove. So what would you advise? How can he come out of this? Thank you.
I think that's a very important, question. And whether it's with children or with adults, I think with respect to the impact of COVID, we find ourselves in similar position. Adults maybe have access to maybe information and too much information, but yes, anxiety can affect both, and we can respond differently as adults and children. But adjustment is demanded of both. So for yes, we've heard of a lot of adults, working adults who had to work from home, got used to it. First, it was difficult to get used to a home routine. Many people have not only experienced anxiety but also depression because there was a certain going out is so important.
So how, as a family member, how do I know? I need to know. Is he experiencing depression? Do I need to, he needs help?
Uh, Short answer, you said that if he's experiencing panic attacks, I'm assuming that they are intense episodes of anxiety where there is a lot of physical discomfort experienced along with a lot of uncomfortable negative thoughts.
Actually, it was the mind.
Yeah.
It's the mind.
If there is a lot of physical discomfort in terms of physical symptoms like breathlessness or palpitations or any other gastric distress, etc., going on with no physical cause, maybe it's also going to help to seek medical consultation and see if that can help. They can also evaluate whether the person is going through a mild depressive episode.
The physician, you mean the physician?
Maybe a physician, maybe a psychiatrist. Initially, even a physician could say, okay, is there reason to meet a psychiatrist? Is it that severe? Or they might prescribe anti-anxiety medicines.
So my question, do they have side effects, the anti-anxiety drugs?
All of that would go beyond the scope, and I'm not the expert on that. I think a medical practitioner would be probably better
More
to
competent. Okay.
explain that. But other than that, I think what's important is that it will take time to normalize the routine and practices after the lockdown has opened up. So I think if in general everyone in the family brings that as part of the family routine, brings about normalization and changes and getting back to the earlier routine, or just new things in the routine which incorporate moving out together, if not alone.
Doesn't want to go for a walk also. He doesn't want to step down also.
So maybe again, those things have to happen in a step-by-step graded manner. So stepping out with somebody till the corridor, maybe, or if initially he was reluctant to step out of the room, coming out and having lunch once in a while, rather than doing all activities inside the bedroom. So those are some ways that one can begin to change the routine. It might help to seek counseling from a therapist who may be able to advise them more useful, helpful coping strategies.
So for adults, can you suggest a good counselor for adults?
We have a lot of people at VIMHANS. If you're open to that, you're most welcome.
No, I am open. The one who needs help.
Yeah,
So
they will have to be prepared.
Can I go on his behalf?
Eventually they will have to come because they will benefit only that way. But again, because of the pandemic, online consultations have started. So maybe if they are not willing to come in person, that is one way we can initiate helping them.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. So जॉन से बच्चे अभी बड़े हो रहे हैं, like 3-4 साल और ऐसे उनके अंदर एंजाइटी भी आ रही है because they are observing everything that's happening in the world. Then how will you do a differential if it's not a neurodevelopmental issue but this anxiety? Because irritability होगी, anger issues होंगे. So how will we differentiate between that it's a neurodevelopmental and not anxiety?
So first of all, I would like to say anxiety is not always bad. One more important thing, like stress is not always bad. जैसे कि like further stress is divided into two parts, like eustress and distress. So अगर anxiety कहीं ना कहीं एक moderate level पे है, definitely it will give you more motivation and insight towards your task and towards your targets, right? So आपने पूछा कि हम identify कैसे करें? It's a general kind of anxiety or it's depend upon sometimes the frequency and occurrence rate. Right? अगर कुछ panic attacks हैं, like simple kind of anxiety, irritability is there, and many other factors are also important. But still, other like we have lots of types of anxiety, like panic attacks, social fear. अगर बच्चे को किसी specific situation से, object से, किसी से भी fear है, so we can consider, or first of all, the caregiver and the parents monitoring is always required during this phase, like 3 to 4 years. So you need to monitor their behavior. और अगर आप उसके behavior में कुछ इस तरीके के consistently उसके किसी particular situation या object के लिए आप panic attacks या फिर fearful anxiety देख रहे हैं, तो we can consider and then we can evaluate or assess on the basis of these occurrences.
Hello, good evening everyone. And my question is, जो अभी चिल्ड्रंस को लेके कोविड के दौरान हमने देखा है कि जो बच्चे हैं जो उनका रिलेशनशिप है वो पहले क्या है कि जैसे स्कूल में जाते हैं वहाँ पे उनके फ्रेंड्स चिल्ड्रंस होते हैं अपने टीचर के साथ होते हैं बट वो इस दौरान काफ़ी टाइम 1-1.5 साल से उनका जो रिलेशनशिप है वो बहुत बिगड़ चुका है मतलब वो फैमिली जो है अपने परिवार के साथ उनका वो रिलेशन वैसा मेंटेन नहीं करते हैं तो उस दौरान अगर उसको एंजाइटी है तो हम फैमिली के साथ कैसे अच्छा रिलेशनशिप बिल्ड कर सकते हैं अगर कोई जानता है।
आप पूछ रहे हैं कि बच्चों का रिलेशनशिप ड्यूरिंग द पैंडेमिक लॉकडाउन की वजह से पेरेंट्स के साथ बिगड़ गया है तो वो कैसे इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं। सो बहुत से कारण हैं अगर ऐसा होता है तो अगेन कुछ चीज़ें प्रेजेंटेशन में दिखाई गई हैं कि हम एक रूटीन के यूज टू थे कि पेरेंट्स का एक रूटीन है बच्चों का एक रूटीन है वो स्कूल जाते थे फिर आते थे और एक लिमिटेड टाइम होता था विच इज़ हेल्दी क्वालिटी इंटरेक्शन। अब ये है कि बहुत ज़्यादा वक्त एक दूसरे के साथ बिताना विदाउट एनी क्लियर स्ट्रक्चर कि हम क्या करेंगे तो बच्चों को भी अपना वक्त अलग से चाहिए होता है, कुछ टाइम उनका अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ होता था, काफ़ी समय पेरेंट्स के साथ बिताना, पेरेंट्स अपना काम भी संभाल रहे हैं और बच्चों को उनको सारा दिन देखना, तो ये सब चीज़ें होती है जिसकी वजह से कभी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स और क्लैशेस हो सकते हैं, खास करके एडोलेसेंट बच्चों में, टीनेज बच्चों में, जिनको उस एज में नीड होती है कि हम अपना भी वक्त अलग से बिताएं, हमारे अपने हॉबीज और इंटरेस्ट हैं या हमारा फ्रेंड्स के साथ वक्त हो, और सारा टाइम पेरेंट्स कुछ ना कुछ बोलते रहे, वो हमें नहीं चाहिए। सो कि हमें सारा टाइम इंस्ट्रक्ट नहीं करते रहे, और पेरेंट्स अगेन बिकॉज ज़रूरी भी है कि बच्चों को सही प्रोटोकॉल बताएं, गाइड करें, तो बता भी रहे होंगे शुरू में कि ये करो ये मत करो, सो वो इंस्ट्रक्शन की तरह लग सकता है। तो आई थिंक पहली चीज़ तो ये है कि जो पेरेंट्स कर सकते हैं इसके जो भी बताएं, आप गुड इंटेंशंस के साथ ही बता रहे हैं, लेकिन कामली बताएं और पैनिक नहीं करें और अपना कूल नहीं लूज करें। तो कोई भी चीज़ आराम से प्यार से बताई जाए तो बच्चे सुन लेते हैं, इवन इफ वो ऐसा लगे कि वो इंटरेस्ट नहीं दे रहे हैं, बट उनके मन में वो चली जाती है और याद रहती है उनको। दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि जो टाइम अगेन प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया गया कि जो टाइम हम घर पे रहे हैं, अब 24 घंटा घर पे हैं, घर से ही काम कर रहे हैं, तो घर का भी एक रूटीन बन सकता है, जैसे आप बाहर जाके कर रहे थे, आपका वर्क टाइम, आप बच्चों के साथ भी ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनाइए कि आपका ये स्कूल रूटीन में आप उसमें बिजी रहोगे, वर्क रूटीन हमारा होता है 6 बजे तक, तो हम उसमें बिजी रहते हैं, अगर कुछ ज़रूरत है तो आप बता सकते हो आके, या हम आके पूछते रहेंगे, लंच टाइम में बात मिल लेंगे, और फिर अदरवाइज हम शाम को जब आपका भी दिन पूरा हो जाता है, हमारा भी हो जाता है, फिर हम वक्त बिताएंगे हमेशा की तरह। सो अपने डेली रूटीन को थोड़ा स्ट्रक्चर कर दें ताकि बच्चे भी और पेरेंट्स भी दोनों एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ चल रहे हैं और कोई फिर क्लैशेस कम होते हैं उसमें, और एक्सपेक्टेशंस भी रीजनेबल होते हैं। और उस रूटीन में जो एक्टिविटीज़ प्लान करते हैं, ऑब्वियसली कुछ प्रिकॉशंस एक्स्ट्रा लेने पड़ रहे थे ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन, बट उनको भी हम शेड्यूल कर सकते हैं कि ओके, अगर लेट्स से कोई बाहर से आ रहा है या कुछ रिसीव कर रहे हैं तो हम मास्क पहने, कौन करेगा, ये रोल्स भी मे बी डेजिग्नेट कर दें, ये नहीं है कि 2 जनों को या 3 जनों को जाके एक्सपोज करना है अपने आप को, क्योंकि 1 पर्सन कैन डू दैट कि बाहर से कुछ लेना है, कोई डिलीवर कर रहा है या कुछ, तो फिर वो एक जना ये करेंगे, दूसरा जना, और घर में ये भी हो रहा था ना कि सबको सारे काम करने पड़ रहे हैं, तो मे बी डिविजन ऑफ चोर्स ऐसे, तो अगर बच्चे अलग अलग एज के हैं तो फिर एज के हिसाब से उनको भी कुछ रोल देना ताकि वो भी बिजी रहें और फ्रस्ट्रेट नहीं हो, एंगेज रहेंगे तो अगेन क्लैशेस कम होते हैं, सबका अपना अपना कुछ कुछ रोल है प्ले करने का। इससे ये भी होता है कि सोचने का, वरी करने का वक्त कम हो जाता है ना, हम कुछ ना कुछ प्रोडक्टिव कर रहे हैं, तो और मिलके कर रहे हैं और देख रहे हैं कि दादा दादी, पापा मम्मी, भाई बहन सब कर रहे हैं अपने अपने हिसाब से, अपने एज के हिसाब से और अपने कैपेसिटी के हिसाब से, तो फिर ज़्यादा स्मूथली चलता है रूटीन। दैट वे वी कैन रिड्यूस क्लैशेस। सेकेंड important thing is communication. Again, I'm extending what has been said in the presentation. कि patiently सुने before you start instructing. तो बच्चों की भी अपने वैलिड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, कुछ बच्चे बहुत इंटेलिजेंट होते हैं, दे वांट टू नो, दे आर क्यूरियस, तो अगर हम खुद एंशियस हैं तो उनको डिस्कस नहीं करें कि ये तुम्हारे रेलेवेंस की बात नहीं है, इट्स नॉट रिलेटेड टू यू, और ये हमें हैंडल करने दो। Certain questions, it is okay to answer the children, give them some reassurance और सही जानकारी उनको दें, discourage नहीं करें from asking questions. some fun activities can be planned ताकि सारा focus इस पे नहीं हो कि क्या चल रहा है, problems क्या चल रही हैं, कुछ normalize भी हो जाए जो time हम spend करते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ. जैसे one of the panelists has also said कि पॉजिटिव चीज़ ये हुई है लॉकडाउन से कि हमको एक दूसरे के साथ वक्त ज़्यादा मिला है बिताने के लिए ना. सो विच पेरेंट्स माइट बी earlier feeling we don't have enough time. Now that time can be made into quality time where you are playing games or teaching the children something उनके साथ और bond improve कर रहे हैं.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening everybody. I just have a suggestion. This is something that has worked well in our groups and our families. That with the help of the teachers and the elders in the family, we've been able to create safe groups where children, 2-3 years plus minus, have been put together as a support group. So they can interact with people besides the parents and besides the family that is within the house. They help each other, they talk about things, and it just builds a better bond, and they know that there is somebody else whom they can talk to. It has worked very well with various age groups. So ma'am, for your query also in that corner, maybe this is something that you could also try. Whoever is comfortable with the gentleman you're talking about should keep in touch with them and in constant contact. So if you have a bunch of 3-4 people also and you can keep interacting with them on a daily basis, somewhere or the other positive conversations and sharing will always help. So if we can involve, as far as the kids are concerned, if we can involve the parents, we can involve uncles and aunts and your friends and teachers, and they can create groups of 5 to 6 kids who can be in touch with each other and they can share. So this is something that will most definitely help.
The situation that the gentleman is going through.
Yes.
Once upon a time, one of my friend also had stuck himself in room. So we were in class 11 at that point of time, and even he will get very scared to walk on the bus because we will take a bus, we will go to the school. So extreme stage of anxiety had created that there were projections coming onto him. That the moment he stepped out of the house, he will see enemies, he will see. Obviously, it tended towards schizophrenia.
Yeah, that's different.
But how we cured him and broke the fear, and that friend of mine is now very well settled and doing well. So he used to love waters. So he used to feel happy with the touch of water. So we created within the home space a smell of water, something which was close, so we will lure him to smell that. So gradually what we did, we incrementally took him out of the house. And two of the friends, in the sense, another friend and myself, and our friend who was not ready to come out of the house, we will take him to, so we were in Kolkata, we will take him to, there was a food joint called Scoop in those days, I am hoping it's still there. He also used to love ice cream.
So you're not talking of the pandemic time, you're talking of the
No, just even because the root cause of not getting out of house, because see, one event has gone deep into the mind, and the mind is creating layers. So you have to go deep down to that event. And in that event you have to, it's something like you hit that deep event and you paint a different brush on that event.
See, I think that only an expert can do. You know, we are not experts. We have not studied the mind. We are not psychiatrists.
No, you don't need to study. Even I have no training in psychology. But we were very good friends. And we just played with something which he used to love. And we created that aura and the space within the mind of something that he will love, even in that situation of fear. And it worked. I'm not saying that it, because see, everything is contextual at the end of the day.
I think your friend was very young. Your
Yes,
friend was very
yes.
young.
That was one.
Yes.
That was
So
one.
I think now what happens with time and age, people do become close-minded, some become rigid, some, it's so difficult to reach out. And the lady over there, she had suggested support groups. It's a wonderful idea. My friends have been suggesting. But you see, he's not open to socializing. He's not open to meeting people. Just his sibling once in a while. He's not open, that's the thing.
Start with the sibling.
Yeah,
Start
that
with the
they do.
and take it virtual.
Yes.
And from virtual, because
Yeah.
I've tried this. That's the reason I'm telling you.
That they do.
I've interacted with a couple of people for the last 7-8 months
Yeah.
who have been in that state. But just virtually talking to them about work, about things that interest them.
Yes.
It helps somewhere.
You see, that he's doing. He has groups, but eventually they end up talking of COVID, which is not helping.
तो वो आप थोड़ा मनूवर करिए ना.
तो नहीं
आप
ये
टॉपिक्स लिख कर दीजिए उनके फ्रेंड्स और
dear.
सिबलिंग्स को.
No.
Not to deviate
No.
from those topics.
These groups are with his, college mates, his ex-office colleagues, retirees. Now he's joined another group. So they are having virtual meetings, 2-3 hour meetings. So he's in his office space. I don't go there. But I can overhear sometimes. And then eventually they are talking of COVID and who fell ill and what was his experience, which doesn't help.
That's okay. We can, like I said earlier, we can get in touch with professionals, and that would be the best course of action. Any other questions?
उसमें आपने मेंशन किया सोशल फोबिया, इसका मतलब क्या होता है? सोशल फोबिया में क्या होता है?
So basically what is happening is, so for example, let's take child example. मैं स्कूल में प्रेजेंट करने वाला हूँ. I have a presentation, for example. तो अब मेरा प्रेजेंटेशन से ज़्यादा फोकस ये है कि मेरे क्लासमेट्स क्या बोलेंगे, मेरे टीचर्स क्या बोलेंगे. अगर मैं कुछ गलती कर दूंगा तो मेरा मजाक उड़ाएंगे. सो द फोकस इज मेजरली ऑन कि मैं जो करूँगा उनका रिएक्शन क्या होगा, रादर देन कि मेरा मेन टॉपिक क्या है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन अडल्ट, अगर मुझे किसी से शादी में मिलना है समथिंग, so main point is the aspect definition is that the fear of getting judged by others. So socially मैं जाऊँगा नहीं, I avoid going because I fear that they will point out on कि मैं लग कैसे रहा हूँ. मैं फॉर एग्जाम्पल मेरा जॉब नहीं है, वो मेरे जॉब के बारे में बोलेंगे.
लेकिन मैडम ये तो जनरल चीज है कि कहीं बोलने जाना है, कभी नहीं बोला है तो लगेगा कि शादी करने जाना है, मिलने जाना है तो अच्छा लग रहा हूँ. सब तो जनरल सबको लगेगा. ठीक है. ये बीमारी कैसे
So जायज़ क्वेश्चन है. So what happens is कि एक दो बारी तो हमें भी लगता है, आने से पहले मुझे भी लगा कि आप क्या सोचेंगे, अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन में कुछ गलती हो गई, बट आई डिड इट एनीवे क्योंकि मेरा मेन फोकस था कि मुझे प्रेजेंटेशन देना है. नाउ क्या होता है जब वो एक डिसऑर्डर में कन्वर्ट होता है तब, बिकॉज क्योंकि अगर मैं कर ही नहीं रहा वो चीज़ कि आई एम अवॉइडिंग, मेरे को प्रेजेंट ही नहीं करना, आई एम रादर hide than to present. I rather be at home. मैं घर पे ही रहूँगा रात दिन कि मैं कहीं बाहर किसी से भी मिलूँ. Right? तो मैं वो फंक्शन ही नहीं करूँगा, मैं वो एस्पेक्ट करूँगा ही जो मुझे ज़रूरत है करने की, एंड मैं घर पे ही रहूँगा बिकॉज मुझे डर है कि कोई मुझे कुछ बोलेगा.
जैसे आपने बोला कि इस तरह एग्जाम्पल दिया, ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि आदमी बाहर जा रहा है, बस में तो बात कर रहा है, यहाँ आकर उसको बोलने की प्रॉब्लम है, तो क्या सोशल फोबिया वैसा होगा? मतलब सोशल फोबिया का नहीं मतलब कि वो बीमारी के रूप में जैसे आपने दिखाया, उस पर्सपेक्टिव में पूछना, सोशल फोबिया की बीमारी हो जाती है कि जैसे तो हुआ कि इस तरह के इन्वायरमेंट तो हर आदमी नहीं बोल पाएगा, मैं भी नहीं, वो भी नहीं बोल, हर आदमी नहीं बोल सकता ऐसे खड़ा, लेकिन उसका मतलब है कि नहीं मिल रहा है, बस में जा रहा है, किसी से मार रहा है, तो बीमारी कब हो जाती है? कैसे समझाने को बीमारी को छोड़ दी, या वो मतलब कुछ तो साइंस नेचर के बच्चे होते हैं, मतलब
करिए कि लाइफ सबकी इस कंटिन्यूम पे है, ठीक है, ये एक मिडल है। इस कंटिन्यूम पे हमारे पास सारे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं। थोड़ी सी एंजाइटी है, थोड़ी सी लो मूड है, थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा खुशी है, थोड़ी सी कम खुशी है, थोड़ी सी इरिटेशन है, थोड़ा सा गुस्सा है, सब कुछ है। सो हम जितने भी चीज़ों को मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज में बोल देते हैं वो सब यहाँ है। आप में भी है, मुझ में भी है, यहाँ जितने बैठे हैं हम सब में है। अब दिक्कत यहाँ होती है जब इस कंटिन्यूम से बहुत ऊपर या बहुत नीचे जाके वहीं अटक जाता है। सो आप कोई भी मूड ले लीजिए, अगर बहुत खुशी भी यहीं पे अटक गया है कि हम इतने ज्यादा खुश हैं। सिमिलरली एंजाइटी, सोशल फोबिया इज बेसिक।
जैसे कोई गांव का आदमी है
जी,
पढ़ा लिखा नहीं है
जी जी,
तो प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं करता है,
हाँ जी,
या कोई भी सिचुएशन कैसे पता चलेगा कि वो गांव का आदमी जो पढ़ा लिखा नहीं है, कैसे सोशल फोबिया उसको हो गया है?
हाँ, आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं। हमको संदर्भ के हिसाब से हमें इवैल्यूएट करना होता है, बट सिंपल सा जवाब ये है कि नेचुरल डिस्कम्फर्ट, नॉर्मल डिस्कम्फर्ट और डिसऑर्डर कब कहते हैं, उसमें फ़र्क क्या है। डिसऑर्डर चाहे वो सोशल फोबिया हो या कोई भी और डिसऑर्डर हो, डिप्रेशन हो या कोई एंजाइटी डिसऑर्डर है, उसको हम तब एज अ डिसऑर्डर डायग्नोज करते हैं जब एक सर्टन फ्रीक्वेंसी से ज़्यादा बढ़ जाए और उसकी सिवियरिटी बढ़ जाए एक सर्टन लेवल से ज़्यादा, और वो उसका जो फैलाव है, स्प्रेड है, वो जनरलाइज हो जाए। सिर्फ एक सेटिंग में नहीं होता है, एक से ज़्यादा या तो फिर कई सेटिंग्स में या सभी सेटिंग्स में उनको वो जो परेशानी है वहाँ इंटरफेयर करती है उनके फंक्शनिंग में, उनके ऑप्टिमल फंक्शनिंग में। सो फ्रीक्वेंसी इज फ्रीक्वेंसी और सिवियरिटी और उसका जो स्प्रेड है, नंबर ऑफ एरियाज ऑफ लाइफ दैट इट अफेक्ट्स, वी हैव टू असेस based on that, and any disorder is diagnosed based on that. उसके कुछ क्राइटेरिया भी होते हैं। सोशल फोबिया में फिर ये होगा कि ना सिर्फ आपको
सोशल फोबिया का आदमी ऐसा हो सकता है कि यहाँ पे बैठने में उसको परेशानी हो, ऐसा नहीं।
अगर सोशल फोबिया है तो किसी भी सोशल सेटिंग में होगा, किसी भी को ये हो सकता है किसी सोशल सेटिंग में थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो, किसी सोशल सेटिंग में थोड़ा कम हो, लेकिन डिस्कम्फर्ट और डिस्ट्रेस उनको सिग्निफिकेंट होगा किसी भी सोशल सेटिंग में। इट इज़ नॉट स्पेसिफिक टू वन सोशल सेटिंग।
जानता है हो सकता है वहाँ पर उसको ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम हो, जहाँ कोई नहीं जानता
ऐसा भी हो सकता है,
से जाके बैठ सकता है।
ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि फेमिलियर लोगों के बीच में फियर ऑफ जजमेंट ज़्यादा हो सकता है। बट अगेन यू हैव टू सी कि इसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी और इसका सिवियरिटी वो कितना डिस्ट्रेस एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे हैं। थोड़ा बहुत डिस्कम्फर्ट है और फिर भी मैंने वहाँ पे पार्टिसिपेट कर लिया। सो फ्रीक्वेंसी, इंटेंसिटी या सिवियरिटी, उसका जो स्प्रेड है, और मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली अवॉइडेंस। अगर हम अवॉइड नहीं कर रहे हैं, मतलब मुझे हेजिटेशन हो रहा है लेकिन फिर भी मैं चली जाती हूँ और किसी तरह से इंटरेक्ट करके आ जाती हूँ, मे बी आधा घंटा मुझे डिस्कम्फर्ट होता है, उसके बाद ठीक हो जाता है धीरे धीरे करके, देन इट्स नॉट सोशल फोबिया। फोबिया मीन्स देयर विल बी अवॉइडेंस बिहेवियर। आप जहाँ जाना चाहते हो, आप एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ कुछ नुकसान हो जाए, आप वहाँ जाना अवॉइड करोगे। मुझे अगर किसी से मिलने जाना है, और मुझे बाहर निकल के जाना और उनसे मिलना अनकंफर्टेबल लगता है, पता नहीं क्या बात होगी, मैं अपने बारे में क्या बताऊंगा, वो क्या बताएंगे, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। आई डोंट नो हाउ आई एम टू आंसर क्वेश्चंस। सो आप प्रॉबेबली अवॉइड ही कर दोगे वो मीटिंग, इवन इफ इट इज एट द रिस्क ऑफ कि दोस्त नाराज हो जाएगा। सो इट इज दैट लेवल ऑफ अवॉइडेंस।
Thank you for all the questions to continue.
अचानक मतलब उसको इस तरह का
चलो चलो।
ठीक ठाक है, इजी गोइंग पर्सन है और उसको इस तरह का प्रॉब्लम
एक लास्ट चीज है दैट
फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये तो कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स दे के समझा रहे हैं हम। तो अगर कोई यहाँ पे आता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर किसी को यहाँ पे सोशल फोबिया है, अगर वो यहाँ पे आता है सडनली ही फील्स, जो हमने सिम्टम्स बताए थे कि अनईजीनेस हो रहा है, फिजिटिंग कर रहा है, पसीने आने लग रहे हैं और बहुत हॉट फ्लैशेस आ रहे हैं, गर्म फील हो रही है, ठंडा फील हो रहा है, अगर ये सब उसको फील हो रहा है एंड वो यहाँ सिचुएशन से उठ के जाना चाहता है तो वो चला गया। अब उसके बाद से वो कभी भी ऐसी सिचुएशन में आएगा नहीं। नाउ ये क्या हर सिचुएशन में हो रहा है। सो दिस इज, मैम ने जैसे बोला कि हर इंटेंसिटी सिवियरिटी कितना फ्रीक्वेंसी में हो रहा है, देन उसको हम एक सोशल फोबिया कहलाएंगे। I hope this
It's okay. I guess he understood.
फोबिया का डेफिनेशन है इंटेंस फियर, जो एक सेटिंग से लिमिटेड नहीं है और उसमें अवॉइडेंस, सिवियर अवॉइडेंस बिहेवियर भी होता है। हाँ, उनको भी, किसी को भी हो सकता है, किसी को भी डेवलप हो सकता है फोबिया, डिपेंड्स ऑन मेनी फैक्टर्स।
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you.
COVID is a good example of that. People
Yes.
who have otherwise been very well adjusted, they have developed anxiety disorders, including phobias, right? Specific phobias, social phobias.
Especially social anxiety has become a very common
A
thing
lot
now.
of people are reporting कि अब social settings में जाके हम पहले जो awkwardness नहीं feel करते थे, अब हमें समझ नहीं आता तो हम rather avoid ही कर देते हैं, फिर कभी देखना।
Thank you for all the beautiful questions, and thank you, ma'am, and thank you all of you, ma'ams, for answering them for everybody.